episode 2 of season 2 here on P3. And this will be a bit of a stretch, but I don't care. 2 plus 2 is 4, and we've got ourselves a 4-sport athlete with us today. And it is Hollis Carbrey. Welcome to the show, Hollis.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So, 4 sports and a lot of stuff outside we'll get to. But are you just the kind of person who likes structure in their day and always wants something to do? I'm sometimes that person, but I don't know if I would be able to do it to the extent that you do.
Yeah, I actually like keeping busy a lot. I don't know. It helps me study, really, because it gives me structure to my day, and I know what times I can study, and I like to get up early too, which helps me a lot because I get up early a lot for swim season, which I'm sure we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
But I also like getting up early and doing my homework if I can't stay up late, because sometimes I can't.
I think we're kind of in the same boat. My parents call me the master of the game when it comes to time efficiency and doing things at the right time. I know when I can do stuff homework wise, and I know when to do it, and I know how long it will take. And if I want to put it off and do it during a specific time in the morning, like I did today with an essay, I know, and I'm sure you do, when you can do things. And
I do that a lot.
Yeah, it's taken years of development, but I've mastered the game with few mistakes.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do on this one, it's a little bit different than previous episodes here on P3, is we're going to walk through, an enhanced kind of walkthrough of what your school year looks like with everything that you have going on. So we'll start in the fall, then we'll move to winter, and then spring. And we might even get to summer. I don't know what you do in the summer, so we'll find out, I guess. So we already got into this a little bit, but with everything you have going on extracurricular-wise, it's probably a little bit difficult to find a balance with school, at least difficult mentally. So starting out in the fall, you have 2 of your 4 sports in cross country and cheerleading. So we'll start out with cross country. And a lot of people have different reasons for joining cross country. So I'd like to hear your reasoning for cross country.
Okay, so I've kind of had a weird journey with cross country. So I did do cross country in middle school in 4th grade and 5th grade, but I actually hated it. So I quit in 6th grade. And then when I came to Brebeuf, someone actually Caroline Potts suggested that I do cross country because it's a good way to meet people in the fall and just kind of get a feel for how Brebeuf is, and it's a really good team. And so I started because of that.
And I feel like cross country, at least what I've seen of the cross country team, is super connected. Everyone's friends with each other. Yes. There's no separate groups like you see in a lot of different teams. I think that's really cool, and I think that goes for all of the teams that you participate in. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about the swim team, but I think the swim team here at Brebeuf is probably the most connected team at the school. They do the most things together, which we'll get to. But back to cross country, what is the atmosphere around the team and the practice style?
So the team is really close, I'd say. I feel like everyone's friends with everyone. And basically for practice, we start at 3:45 and we all get in a circle and we have a random question of the day. So it's something like, what's your favorite food? And then everyone goes around and says their name, grade, and then their favorite food. And then basically it depends on the day. So Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays are easy runs. So that's anywhere from 2 to 6 miles maybe.
Is there such thing as an easy run though? I mean,
there's for cross-country runners.
Well, that's different, yeah, I guess. But for someone who does not run cross-country...
Then not so easy.
Not so easy, but...
And then Monday and Wednesdays are workout days. So we just have a 10-minute warm-up that we do, the whole team does, usually around the school. And then the workout, which varies every single week. And then 10-minute cool-down.
Do the boys practice with the girls a lot of times, or is it pretty much separate? Never?
Never.
Really?
It got divided a couple years ago.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But you do meets together, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd say the boys and girls cross country team's actually pretty split. There's not really much togetherness.
Interesting. Because we'll get to it. I know we keep going back to the swim team, but the swim team is very connected.
They're totally different.
Yeah.
By far. Also
different is cheerleading from cross country.
Yes.
we'll start with football cheer and then we'll move eventually into basketball in the winter. But what are your favorite parts about football cheer and like your best moments? Maybe even like a favorite game that you've gotten to cheer at.
So my favorite game was my first game that I did sophomore year, my first year on the team. It was against Bishop Chatard, and it was like the first time we'd beat them in a while. And it was just a really great game. It was really hot, but it was amazing.
Yeah.
Like it's what made me really like cheer.
Me being the sports nerd I am, that was the first time that we'd beaten Chatard since 1977.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not realize.
No, it was the
long.
second since 77. I think we beat them in
right.
2013.
Yeah, it was something like, yeah.
And then 1977 was the last one before that.
Yeah.
But they won state and we didn't this year, so oh well.
Well, that's because they got moved down. So.
Yeah, that's true. We got moved up to 4A.
Yeah.
They moved down. What do you like about football cheer? Like you said, you really found your place there. What is it about it that made that the case?
The team's really close. They're all really fun. And we also always have like a scavenger hunt and sleepover towards the beginning of the year, which my sophomore year was really nice because I didn't really know any of them. I knew like Summer from choir, and then I knew my other sophomores, but I didn't know like the juniors or the other seniors. And it was just a really good way to get to know them. And I feel like our team's really close because we have practices twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And honestly, most of the time we don't even do anything. We just talk. So
Yeah.
you get pretty close with them.
I do want to talk about your practice schedule in the fall, specifically. So you said cross country was 4 days a week. Was it?
5.
5? And then
Although
cheer
if
also
you count
too?
meet days, 6.
Okay. So on each day you might have, you said Tuesdays and Thursdays for cheer, right?
Yes.
So you would have 2 practices, hypothetically, on Tuesdays
Yeah.
and Thursdays.
So Tuesdays are kind of weird. So on Tuesdays, it's our Togetherness Tuesday on cross country. So we go up to the wellness center on like the little balcony, and then we like do our question of the day, of course. And then we also get like awards. So it's like most improved or like Saint Ignatius, which is someone who like demonstrates kindness and everything. And then there's usually other like fun random awards that they make every year. And so that takes about 45 minutes, I'd say. And then we have lifting. Luckily, the cheer time was moved to 5 to 6:30 this year, so I would sometimes have time to like get in 1 to 2 miles before 3 if I was feeling ambitious. And then I usually would just finish up my mileage after cheer practice.
That is just like, I remember my freshman year, the only time I did like back-to-back like practices was when I did the musical freshman year. And you know that, we'll get into this. Musical rehearsals they tend to go a little long, and there are a lot of them. And then also the Jeff Scott baseball program here at Brebeuf, which was something, was the same way. So I went musical rehearsal straight into baseball practice,
Oh gosh.
like almost every day, all year. And then I got home probably around like, I don't know, 8 or 9
Yeah.
every day. It was rough.
Yeah.
And I did not go back to that.
Cheer. So on Thursdays, I usually have more time to run before. Sometimes I can fit in my entire run. It just depends on how many miles I want to run that day. I usually have to run by myself those days, though, because I usually go faster than what we're supposed to go on easy days because I want to get my run over with and get home as soon as possible.
It's fair. It's a good idea, honestly.
Yeah.
Like push everything up front, wear yourself down, and then
Yeah.
do it quicker and
Exactly.
be able to go home.
Yeah.
So you said your favorite game for football cheer was at Chatard, but you have been at Lucas Oil Stadium twice, right? How, like, I was able to get on the field after this year's Chatard game because I stayed late because I was like wrapping up the broadcast up top and I went down. And they kicked me off the field after like 5 minutes because they all wanted to go home. But I was able to make it on. But you were on the field the whole game for both times and just like staring up at like a 70,000 person stadium. What were your thoughts on that?
It was pretty amazing. Like, just going to state the first year in Lucas Oil, it was like surreal. I kind of couldn't believe it when we were like walking in the tunnels, and then like when we were looked out onto the field for the first time, I was like, there's no way I'm on like this giant professional field that professional cheerleaders and professional football players are always on. And it was pretty incredible. The second time, I'm not going to lie, the game was delayed and it was such a long day, and I had a cross country meet the next morning. I had to get up at like 5:30.
Yep.
I wasn't really feeling it that time.
That was the first game of this year against Chittard. It was this new like Circle City Classic or something like that.
Yeah.
And my family and I were driving there, and there was like a huge stoppage on the highway, and we were just sitting there, and we ended up having to like turn, like everyone was turning like through the grass on to the wrong direction on the road like next to it to get out. And we're lucky we did, because the stoppage apparently lasted like 2.5 hours, and we would have missed the game. I think
that's crazy.
Might have been like a hit and run, I think they said. So we did that, made it to Lucas Oil Stadium like 30 minutes before the game started, and I usually like to get to games like an hour and a half minimum before. And I was stressed because I had to go up like 13 floors to the press box, find out where I am, set up everything, and then, of course, with like TV, there's always a problem when setting it up. So there was that.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, the game was really cool. I had the entire Lucas Oil Stadium press box to myself,
that
but
is cool.
That was a stressful day for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It was good in the long run, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't gone to basketball state in, I don't even know, at least decade. And I think being at Gainbridge Fieldhouse on the court would be so different than like Lucas Oil Stadium, because it's kind of smaller, but it also feels huge because, at least for me, I'd be on the floor as opposed to in the press box. Yes. I have been on the floor like before a Pacers game when they do like the big flag thing, and I got stared at right in the face by like, I think it was Victor Oladipo.
Oh my gosh.
It was really intimidating.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But yeah, if hopefully we can make it to basketball state this year. Maybe. We'll see. We're 1-0 at the time.
Yeah.
We have Cathedral coming up on Friday, which will be interesting. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we'll see. And smooth transition here. Basketball cheer. Do you like it more or less than football cheer?
Well, I don't.
I mean, they're different. I kind of
like it. Yeah, they're pretty different. I really like football season. I really like basketball season. The thing that I like about basketball season is the games are really short.
True.
Versus football, where I have to stay there until like 10 and then get up at 5 for cross country, which is not fun.
Yeah, it's a balance, but it's a rough balance.
Yeah, the only thing with basketball, I don't like how often there are games.
That's true. I mean, I only broadcast the home games, so it's a little different for me, but you guys travel a lot.
We travel a lot constantly. Especially we have like 3 games in a week sometimes, and they're like all over the state.
Yeah, there was the final stretch of the regular season for football. You guys were going to Terre Haute like every week. I think it was Terre Haute North, Terre Haute South,
games.
And Northview, which is down there somewhere.
Yeah. And
I mean, that's too much.
Mm-hmm.
At least it was only once a week and not like basketball.
Yeah.
But I think, do you know what the furthest you have to travel for basketball is?
I'm not sure about this year. Last year, there was one that I missed that was really far away, I think. I think that one was 2 hours, maybe.
Ooh.
An hour and a half to 2. The farthest one I went to was probably an hour to an hour and a half.
Is it self-transport?
It's always self-transport for basketball.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes things a lot worse.
It does.
And
especially when I couldn't drive last year.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to move into more of the winter season. It's up to you. Do you want to talk swim or do you want to talk musical first?
Whatever.
Okay. Let's go with swim.
Yeah.
Because I've been talking about them like a lot and we haven't gotten to it yet. I have a lot of friends on the swim team, and they didn't really sneak me into a practice, but like I went to a practice.
Really?
Not on the team. It was one of like morning weights like last year.
Funny. Yeah.
And I just noticed like everyone on the swim team is so unbelievably close to each other.
Mm-hmm.
because they do so much together.
Yeah.
And I just want to hear it from like the inside perspective of like how you feel about that.
Yeah. I'd say the swim team is really close. I actually counted up the weeks, and it's like 5 weeks longer than cross country, which is actually pretty insane when you think about it, especially how often swim practices.
Yeah, there's a ton of swim practice.
Yes, and you spend 2 hours a day, if not more, because depends on the person. Sometimes people go to both practices. Sometimes people just go to one. Depends for me too, how I'm feeling. But
I feel like that's what everyone says on the team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a lot of time together, and what I feel like the team's gotten even closer this year because we've started to do breakfast after Saturday morning practices, which is really fun because it just makes the team closer, and it's like another way to get close to the team since you're not swimming and you're not in the pool, so you can't really talk that much, which you still find a way.
Yeah.
It's very easy to talk to people during swim practice. But it's just a good way to like see people outside of the pool.
I've been like, people have tried to convince me. I think it's mostly been Andrew Swed, maybe Will Soul a couple times.
Yeah.
But the like dinners at City Barbecue after practice, they've been trying to get me to go for like 2 years. I haven't done it because I'm not on the team. I don't want to interrupt what they're doing. But like the stories I hear from the swim team are so funny, and I kind of want to be there to like experience them. Like I can't even say.
Yeah.
It. But for you, what do you think is like the most memorable moment out of your years of swimming?
Ooh, that's tough. I don't know.
It could just be like some like little funny moment that happened, or I don't know.
I really like swim meets. I feel like swim meets are really fun. My favorite swim meet is I actually really liked the Brownsburg one that we just had a week ago. I mean, I also personally did well, but I feel like the team just had a lot of fun together because it was the first meet with like the guys and the girls, because the girls had already had a meet previously, which was the Mooresville one, which is never a fun meet. But
and another long commute.
Yes, long commute, but it is only like an hour versus the Brownsburg one, which was like 3 hours. So giving you a take. So.
You had a meet last night, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Lawrence North, right?
Yes.
How did that go?
It was okay. I personally didn't do that great, but I also did go to morning practice that morning, which I usually don't do. I'm never doing that again. It was horrible. But it wasn't that long, which was nice, but it was because they limited it to only 2 people, the top fastest people on your team, to each event.
How, like throughout the week, how does the practice schedule look like for swimming?
So Mondays it's weights from 6:45 to 7:45, and then in the afternoons swim from 4:30 to 6:30. Tuesday it's morning swim from 6 to 7:30, and then that's at North Central. And we practice at IUPUI, the natatorium. And then Tuesdays it's 4:30 to 6:30. We have 4:30 to 6:30 swim practice every afternoon, Monday through Friday. And then Mondays and Fridays are weights. Tuesdays and Thursdays morning swim at North Central. And then Saturday it's 7 to 9 at IU natatorium.
And that's all on top of like schoolwork and other things that are going on, like another smooth transition here, the musical.
Yep.
You started the musical here, at least in your freshman year, right? Or was that the COVID year?
I did do the musical freshman year. Yeah.
Did you when did you start to get involved in like theater, choir, like performing arts?
Oh, my mom likes to say I was born singing. So I was always in choir since I was like 4 years old. And then I guess I did a theater program a little bit from like 3rd to 5th grade maybe. And then I did the 8th grade musical at my middle school.
What did you guys do?
We did Into the Woods. I was Cinderella.
Okay.
It was really fun. And then I obviously started it at Brebeuf, and I've really enjoyed it.
Do you want to plug this year's?
Yes, this year's Mamma Mia. I'm Sophie. Everyone should come see it. It's March 16th, 17th, and 18th. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There's night performances and then Saturday matinee.
I'll be there.
Perfect.
I was actually considering going back and doing it this year.
Should have.
That's what I've been told. It's a fun show,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, now talking to you, it sounds bad that I say I don't have the time, but
I get
it'll
it.
be my second semester
It's a
senior
lot.
year. And then also choir, like that takes a lot of time too, especially this
Yes,
year.
It does.
The program's changed a little bit. It's gone a little more intense.
Yeah.
Like today, both of us just had to do, I wouldn't say had to do because it was pretty valuable,
yeah.
but we did a master class with a college professor, and each of us got singled out in front of the entire choir for like 30 minutes
Yes.
and got critiqued,
Yeah. Yeah.
which was very interesting.
It was. That's for sure.
But you at least had an advantage because you knew.
I knew the person, so that was good.
Yeah.
That
And
definitely made it better.
we have a concert coming up too, and instead of
gosh.
having rehearsals spread throughout the semester, they are all right before the concert, which is
Yep.
perfect.
Yeah. It's great.
Hours at a time, you know?
Yeah.
And then
It's definitely time consuming.
at least we don't have the retreat.
Ugh,
We did-
I hate those.
We did a retreat at Butler for our last concert. Got there at 8 a.m. Left, like I mean, you at least lived like 5 minutes away.
Yeah. That was
I got
very
home
nice.
at like 10:45,
Oh
11.
my God. That's horrible.
No, it was later than that. It was like 11:10, something like
That's
that.
actually terrible.
Yeah. And then school the next day.
Yeah. That
Um,
was 14 hours. I'm never getting back.
this is why we are expressing the balance of a high school year.
Yep.
Lots of stuff going on.
Lots of homework.
Yeah. I think I had to write like a 250-point paper that night too.
Sounds
So,
about right.
Yeah. Welcome to senior year, first semester at least.
Oh, gosh.
Second semester, it's going to be a little bit
Oh,
different.
yeah.
So we're going to move into the spring, and that's going to be when your musical performances are.
Mm-hmm.
And that means dress rehearsals, tech rehearsals,
Yes.
and being at school until like 10.
Yep.
So do you have a plan on how you're going to attack the homework situation and like other things that you have going on?
Well, it kind of depends. Well, I did freshman year, but that's because it was freshman year. I used to run before. On like dress rehearsal days, I used to run before practice. And then I would just do homework when I got home. But that's when I only had like 2 hours of homework or something crazy like that.
Yeah. Junior year is a lot different than
A lot
freshman year.
different.
My junior year, I mean, it was fun. It was great. But I never want to go back to that amount of work. Like,
Right.
especially because the grades count for so much in the college process.
Yes. It stinks.
Yeah. Speaking of that, do you have any college ideas, future plans?
I kind of want to go somewhere a little more south. I don't really like winter. Not a big fan of it. But I still am going to look at like your typical like good northern schools as well. I don't know. I don't really know the specifics. I've only toured like 2 schools.
Which ones?
Miami of Ohio and Vanderbilt.
Okay. Starting off good.
Yeah. They're
Um,
both really good.
what do you mean by like the northern schools, like the Ivy League, like Harvard, Yale, or like the
Not that.
like northeast, or just like north?
Right now for northern that I'm definitely going to look at, I'm going to look at like Michigan,
Okay.
Northwestern, then your typical Indiana schools like Notre Dame, IU, Purdue. That's basically for sure
Yeah.
right now.
If you end up there, you'll be having some winter, which will be a little different.
Yes.
But as I've said on here before, Syracuse is a different breed of winter. Like fire
gosh.
fire
Sounds
pole or
horrible.
snow poles on the fire hydrants
Yeah.
that go up like 4 feet.
Yeah, no.
And then like when I toured there, they just said in the winter, kids just slide down the hills instead of walking to class because they can't go anywhere.
That is so fair.
Yeah. But sacrifice you got to make
Yeah,
for a dream school.
exactly.
And I didn't know that you played tennis until last year.
Yes.
First, are you planning to play tennis again? And second, like, first, when did you start playing tennis? And then also, like, what are some of your favorite things about playing tennis in the spring?
I am going to play tennis this year. And I've never really played like tennis intensely. Tennis is kind of like just for fun sport because I play it with Bailey, my best friend. And we're usually doubles partners, which is really fun. And my mom played tennis, and so did my dad a little bit. So I started when I was like really little. I belonged to a country club. This is kind of an insight to my summer. So when I was little, I would do swim team, then I would go to tennis practice, then I'd go to golf. So I did like all your typical country club sports. So I've kind of done a little bit of tennis like all throughout my life.
Okay. And I know your dad played college baseball.
Yes.
Did he ever kind of influence you to play softball or baseball or t-ball growing up?
He actually didn't. I did. I remember when I was little, there was a little bit of a time where I wanted to play softball, but I never did. He never really like pushed that on me. I bet if he had a son though, he would be playing baseball.
You're an only child, right?
Yes, yeah. I am.
Does that make things more or less difficult when you're loaded with work and sports and everything?
I feel like it makes it less difficult because then like my parents were able to take me to like practices and meets when I couldn't drive, so that helped a lot. And they're able to come to more events because I don't have like other siblings that I have to split time with, which is really nice.
So I'll say my brother didn't play sports growing up, but he's at college now, and I have the title of temporary only child.
Yeah.
And it is not fun.
Really?
Like there is so much, like my brother got a lot of the attention as the oldest child.
Right.
And I don't like attention.
That's fair.
So everything is on me now from my parents. Like all they really are concerned with is like directly on me. Which has taken a lot of adjustment, and I've kind of handled it pretty well. But when my brother was home for Thanksgiving break, like everything was on him, and it was great. If you don't talk about me, I don't care. I'm not a guy who wants to be talked about.
Yeah,
but
I guess it helps me because my mom was an only child too, so she kind of knows the dynamic of it. And then my dad had a younger brother, and my dad also, he's a social guy, but like he takes it easy. He doesn't he's not a very talkative guy. He won't like helicopter me or like really hone in on anything.
Yeah,
he trusts me to do
my parents
stuff.
are the opposite.
Yeah.
Well, my dad will kind of let me do my own thing.
Right.
But he talks about me a lot. My mom does not let me do my own thing, but also talks about me a lot.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, in some cases it's okay. Like,
right.
if they're promoting something well that I did, but like,
yeah.
I don't need pictures of me to be posted on Facebook like every second of every day. That's a message there.
Yeah.
I know you're listening, Mom. I'm not the biggest fan of Facebook. My dad doesn't have Facebook. Very respectable.
Yeah. I think same with mine.
Yeah. You've met my parents. They're extremely talkative. But yeah, so we're going to move on. I decided we are going to do some superlatives today. We've done superlatives here on the podcast for the past few episodes, and they've gotten a good response from those who have been mentioned.
Okay.
So I got to think of them off the top of my head, but we're going to do you have a team preference to start with?
Oh, gosh. Oh, that's really hard. Okay. I'm honestly going to have to go with cross country. I think it's just because that's like the sport that I'm the best at, so it kind of makes it maybe better. And it's also, I don't know. But I don't know, that's really hard. Like cross country for the sport, I also really like the team. And then I really like the swim team and the cheer team.
Okay. So do you want to start with cross country?
We'll just go with cross country.
Okay. First question is, who is the funniest person on the team?
Ooh.
Or does the craziest stuff just out of nowhere? Spontaneous, that's the word I'm looking for.
I think I'm going to go with Maggie Bonkowski.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Maggie was in my Kairos group,
Yeah.
so I know her very well.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, she's really funny.
Next one is going to be, who is most likely to become famous on the team
For running?
for anything?
I could say for running. Lucy Wood. She's insanely fast.
She made state as a freshman, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she had never done cross country before. She's
No
literally
way.
amazing. Like, role model in running right there.
She's
Like,
straight into high school cross country, freshman, state.
yeah.
And she placed well, didn't she?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She, like, broke 19 in, like, her second or third race or something like that. Crazy.
There was, in the girls' state meet, the girl who won broke some kind of record. I believe she was from Chittard.
Lily Cridge.
Yeah.
She's insane. She actually broke the fastest 5K time for an Indiana high school girl on Brebeuf's course, which is the hardest cross country course you'll ever run.
That's disrespectful.
Yeah.
Rival
She
record
like
breaker.
smashed the course record, and she's insane. I don't know how she does it.
Okay. We're going to move on. I have a lot more ideas for the swim team because I know a lot more people on the swim team. So, first for the swim team is, who would be most likely to end up in jail at some point?
Oh gosh. This is hard. Maybe Brian Skaggs.
Don't do Skaggs like that.
I don't know. He's the only one I can think of right now.
Okay. So last year's senior class for swimming, I've heard was very fun. So I don't know, who's just like the most memorable person of that senior class? I think I have an idea of what you're going to say, but I just want to see.
Oh, I don't know. Honestly, for me, Kate Gramelsbacher, just because we went to St. Richard's together and our parents were really close friends, and we also carpooled to like freshman year. We carpooled together.
I was thinking about Marcus Sherrod.
Yes, that's so
And
true.
Marcus, I feel like I've talked about him on the show before, but he was one of the most fun people that I have ever interacted with. And he would be in the spontaneous category of that last one for cross country. Because he was something else. But
For sure.
he is, I believe he's at West Point now.
Mm-hmm.
Which was very interesting when I found out.
Yep.
But he seems to be doing well there.
Yeah.
So good for him.
Yeah.
Okay, cheerleading. Who like gives the most spirit when they're cheerleading? Like who puts the most, like, I don't know.
Probably Nina. She's so good. Like, she can do back tucks and so many crazy tumbling things. And she always is, like, so expressive.
Yeah. And there are some cheerleaders that are also on the dance team, right? So that expressiveness from the dance team carries over. I think Nina's one of those, right?
She is. Yeah, it's Nina, Adriana, Kenzie, Nadia, and now Jackie just joined.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think that's really cool to get involved in both because you wouldn't think you'd be able to, because like the dance team does the halftime show,
right?
But the cheerleaders are doing like cheering during the game. But to be able to put in the effort to do both at the same time, I think is really cool, and I admire those who do that because it brings a whole new dimension to the football game.
Yeah,
like the halftime show, like the playoffs where we're not allowed to have any like home themed stuff with no halftime show was just not.
It stinks.
Yeah, it was dead.
It's boring.
So what I did is I came down from the press box, and my friend Edwin Norris and we always throw football around like on the track before the game and sometimes at halftime. So I noticed the student section was a little dull, so I went and just like, if you give a football to a bunch of high school juniors and seniors, they will go to town.
Yeah.
So I was just throwing it with them back and forth, and it worked.
Yeah.
But they booed me when I left because they didn't want to stop. But yeah, those playoff games without like, where we can't have our run out song, we can't have our halftime show, can't have like favoring in like the PA. It's really weird because you're at your home. You feel like you should be able to do that.
Right.
But IHSAA does not like that.
No. Oh, well.
So last thing is shout outs. Do you have anybody you'd like to shout out? It could be anyone. Yeah.
Okay, so I would like to shout out my pacing buddies for cross country this year, Mary Michael and Audrey Sloan. We like ran every single cross country race together. Also, Anna Dunn towards the end. She started catching up to us. She was so good this year. She dropped a lot of time freshman year. She did great. And then for swimming, I have a lot of shout outs, but I'll limit it.
No, you can
Alice
go ahead.
O'Brien. She is so sweet. I love her. We do so many things together: choir, musical, cross country, swimming, a lot. And it's so fun. And then Katie Cotterill, Katie Pritchard, Kate Williams, we miss you. And Anna Brown, we miss you too. Okay. And then tennis, Bailey Garbrick, my best friend.
Okay. So I hope that for you that at least was a good glimpse into what a busy Brebeuf Jesuit schedule looks like and what goes on within and outside of those sports and activities. I certainly learned a lot, and I feel like I don't do enough now. But yeah, I hope that was a good glimpse as to what a high schooler's life looks like. I know we get perceived a lot of not doing enough, or like we often like just get told we're high schoolers, you want to stick to your academics, get into college, do whatever. But I think it's very important to be able to have that balance of fun versus school versus athletics, and I think you do a perfect job of that. It's really admirable.
Yes. I really try to balance it.
And if you're struggling with that balance, rewatch the episode whenever you need to.
Yeah.
And find out what you can do. So with that, that's the conclusion of episode 2 of season 2 here on P3. This has been Ian Plaskoff and Hollis Carbrey. Until next episode, we'll have our next dual sport or multi-sport athlete, and you'll have it right here.